everyone, I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Eric.
Merry Xmas to everybody. Yeah, I know some people don't like Xmas, but we're watching Lexmas. Some must say Xmas.
Well, I mean, you could just say Lexmas.
Well, that's true. Merry Lexmas, everyone.
Do
yeah.
Do you want to do another take? Do you want to lead in?
Okay, sure. Yeah, I guess that would have been clever. Hello, everyone. I'm Captain Logan. Merry Lexmas to everybody. Eric's here too, by the way.
I am here.
And Eric, what are we gonna watch today?
I guess Lexmas.
Today we're gonna watch Lexmas,
which is a thing you mention a lot, but I have like no memory of. I know I watched it. It's just Christmas Carol, right? It's Christmas Carol with Lex. Is that what I'm thinking?
No,
of?
it's okay. So Christmas Carol is obviously the big reference, but it's really only like Ghost of Christmas Future.
Okay. This is in 6?
5.
5. Okay.
Yeah, it's not really like all of.
For some reason, I thought this came right after.
You know what? I say Ghost of Christmas Future. It's not even that either. Like he sees a. I'm just gonna give away what happens in the episode before we watch it. He sees his perfect life.
Okay.
And like so, I guess it's actually I don't know. It's like a cross between that and It's a Wonderful Life, sort of.
Okay.
I guess.
Okay. Maybe this is It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah, it's kind of that. It's kind of that
okay.
more than it's Christmas Carol.
Okay.
Like it has echoes of Christmas Carol because he kind of has a guide, if memory serves. I haven't seen this in a long time either. This is like sort of a blind commentary, everybody. It's been a long time since I've watched this.
It's a semi-blind commentary. We're going to popularize this, the semi-blind commentary. I've seen this before, but I only don't really remember it.
Yeah, nobody else is doing that. We are breaking new ground, you guys. Well, anyway, let's go ahead and just watch it, and we'll figure out what this is. It's been a long time since I've seen it as well. I remember how it ends. I remember this not having a happy ending, which I really, really appreciated, and it's not your standard average Christmas thing.
I thought I remembered this being right after Lana leaves, but I guess I'm completely wrong with that.
Well, and even if that were the case, she's not gone until 8.
No. Remember when they fake her death, where that van goes in front of her, and she's just gone, and then they're like, no, she was alive the whole time, and that's when they split? Or I think she's leaving him when that happens.
Are you talking about
6.
when they kill Jonathan Kent? Because that's 5.
No. In 6, they're dating and they're intolerable, and then a van goes in.
Lana and Lex.
Yeah. A van goes in front of her and she's just gone. But I think she's leaving Lex in that moment, and I thought this was right after that.
I forgot all about that. No, this is actually the thing that kind of sets up the whole idea of their being together, because his perfect life, he's married to her.
Okay, which is awful.
Yeah, it is.
It is. I like the first half of season
kind of the
6 a lot.
That. Yeah,
them are like nigh unwatchable.
No, it's bad. Yeah. Well, anyway,
that doesn't have anything to do with this episode.
We just thought we would show you how completely unqualified we are to do this. Obviously, I host Counting Crypto Freaks, but it's been a while since I've seen. I want to say later seasons, but that's still in the first half of the show. But the seasons I know really well are 1 through 3, and then 4 pretty well, and then after that it gets dicey.
Because I always think of the show as like through 7, and then like. After
like
7,
a different show.
After 7 is the back half of the show in my mind.
That's how I think about it too, especially because at that point it's like all Metropolis. Like I know he moved to Metropolis before that, but then it's called Smallville, and we very rarely actually go there. But anyway, well, let's go ahead and get started. Again, a semi-blind commentary. I hope you guys enjoy it. We're watching on the DVD, but this is also, of course, still available, as far as I know, on Hulu. If you're watching with commercials on Hulu, you'll want to make sure to pause us when the commercials happen, and otherwise you can just watch it all the way through. But you can also, of course, get out your disc, and let's go ahead and get started. Here we go. Everybody, please press play right now.
I'm surprised this isn't a thing that you just kind of watch every year. I have specific episodes of Christmas episodes of things I watch every year. I always watch the Xmas Marks the Spot of Real Ghostbusters, Huey Freeman Christmas. Like, I'm surprised you don't just watch this every year.
People ask me about that every year. What are like your favorite Christmas episodes of things, and which things do you go back to? And I always forget. Like for me, with as busy as I am and having kids and a family and everything, Christmas kind of sneaks up on me, and I don't really get into the Christmas spirit until about a week before Christmas. Is what tends to happen.
It's Christmas season, so I have to say a Christmas relevant greeting. I heard he came back for Crisis. Did he come back for Crisis?
He did not.
Then he came back in something else recently. Maybe he voiced the Flash in something.
I don't think Rosenbaum came back in anything.
I feel like I was just hearing about something. Maybe it was a Justice League thing where he came back as the Flash.
You might have just heard that Lex is in the crossover because they use Smallville Lex, or Supergirl Lex, but not Rosenbaum. They asked him. They tried to get him to come in, but he wouldn't do it.
No, it was specifically Rosenbaum, because I was like, oh, I didn't think he did things like that anymore. There must be a Justice League thing that came out somewhat recently or is going to come out that's got him in it. I'm not sure. Maybe it's one of the Lego games? Does he voice Flash in like one of the Lego Villains?
This is not something I've heard about. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't think he was in that, but I'm not sure. Yeah, this is a thing I could see putting in on a yearly basis. I like the Lex part of this a little bit more than the Clark side, but the Clark side's kind of fun too. He talks a Santa Claus off a roof.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah. Yeah, there was some actual thought put into this.
That's a very Superman thing. We've done a couple of those. All-Star Superman has the best of them.
Yes, it does.
I think Grounded has an alright one. I think Grounded just has the mistake of coming, like, that scene specifically, Grounded has lots of issues, but that scene specifically came, like, 2 or 3 years after All-Star Superman already did it, talking off the roof.
Well, doesn't Grounded do it in the first issue?
First or second?
First or second, yeah.
Yeah, it's early on, though. I've never finished that arc.
So, if we were doing Counting Crypto Freaks right now, this would be, like, you know, probably the dozenth time that Lex gets shot. He gets shot a lot.
I hope that when I get shot, I'm, like, tough enough I can turn around and look at the person like, did you just shoot me?
He's always got to do everything with style and class. That's what I love so much about Rosenbaum's Lex.
Well, and Lex Luthor is very much a willpower person. There's a whole thing about that historically. Like, don't trust anyone that's, like, preaches about, like, the power of will. They're always really bad people. And Lex is super that.
Yeah, that's
like,
right.
Like, he might not speak it, like, philosophically, but, like, he is a person that's all about willpower. Especially the self-made man from the post-crisis era, which is what he's mostly based on, except for that he's not a self-made man at all.
This episode has shades of Insurgents, second season, where Lionel gets shot, and then we have these unreliable narrator flashbacks from different perspectives all the way through that are lit just like this, where we're trying to guess who it was that shot Lionel. And this episode, of course, isn't about trying to figure out who killed Lex.
Because we know who killed Lex.
It's not, yeah, we saw that. It's not flashbacks, it's flash forwards to a future that's not actually going to happen. But the idea is supposed to be that if only he went down the more Clark Kent road, this could be his future. And the one thing I really like about putting him with Lana in the 6th season, even though I don't like the execution of it, is that it's a twisted version of this. Mm-hmm. Where we perverse it. So he is forcing things from this future to happen while he's going down the dark path.
What is the age difference between those two characters?
Oh yeah, his mother is the guide character.
Oh, is she a recurring or is she a returning actress? Like, has she played the mother before?
I want to say this is the same actress who played her in 3, but I can't remember. There's a wonderful flashback episode in 3 where we see like the 10 or 11-year-old Lex shortly after the pilot, where we have his new brother, Julian. And do you remember this?
I remember him having a secret brother in an episode who is not important at all and goes away after an episode. Is that a different brother?
That's a different brother.
Okay, that's a different brother.
Julian we keep bringing up, but he died young.
And we also never mention his sister until she shows up.
Uh-huh. Yeah, no, it's ridiculous. He has the most ridiculous sordid past. But anyway, there's this wonderful speech that she gives in that, and I think it's the same actress, where she tells Lionel that she won't allow him to scar her children, and it's a wonderful speech. It's a really sad episode.
I know you hate it when I talk about the subtitles, but did you see how they did "What do you mean"?
Yeah.
It was "yo mean" as one word.
Yeah, that's because you're looking at the TV subtitles, and for whatever reason, the discs don't do real subtitles for English. They only do them for French and another language.
Huh.
So those aren't real subtitles; those are the closed captions.
Oh, weird.
So yeah.
Okay.
That's why it does that. I've always liked these titles a lot.
Yeah, they're good. They're good
Season
titles.
5 got a great overhaul for the title sequence. And I like
Not
how
for very long.
completely different it is from before. Yeah, it's great.
You know, I was before this moment, I was content knowing that for the rest of my life, I'd never have to see Kristen Crook in anything ever again.
Well, here you go, man. And we're talking about doing another Smallville commentary at some
true.
point. And I think you'll have to see her in that. She's probably in very little of it.
I thought she wasn't. I thought that was when she ran away because she had the kryptonite blood or whatever.
I'm pretty sure that happens later.
Okay. Stephen S. DeKnight was a co-executive producer?
Yes, he was.
Well, that explains Pacific Rim Uprising.
I think I like that movie okay.
I do like that movie okay. I also like Smallville okay.
I think the operative word here is okay.
Smallville would be a lot better if it had giant robots fighting giant monsters. I would probably enjoy it much more.
I think you gotta give Smallville credit for taking 4.5 years before they finally did a Christmas special, because it seems like the most really obvious thing for Smallville to do.
I thought they did Christmas stuff.
No, not really. I mean, there might be...
Or like it's the Christmas season. I don't know if there's ever a Christmas episode.
Yeah, but I mean, this is like a straight-up Christmas special kind of episode.
You know, you can also go back to the Arrow.
That's
that season
I thought
2?
of that today. Yeah, 3 Ghosts.
Yeah.
That one's really good.
Which I think when we reviewed it, you compared to Lexmas.
Yeah. Because we were trying really hard to make the episode actually kind of matter.
Chloe, I'm on the planet.
And not just be like a one-off, sappy, like, Merry Christmas, everybody. Because it's Christmas, we can't tell an actual story.
Mm-hmm.
And so many things used to do that in the 80s and 90s. I think we've gotten far away from that. But I think we've forgotten that we actually got far away from it, because every time somebody does a Christmas special, it's like they're trying really hard not to be the stereotypical Christmas special. It's like, we don't make those anymore.
Well, but also the stereotypical Christmas special in the 80s and 90s was fine because they were all episodic.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you're not interrupting a story. Do you remember that the first episode of The Simpsons is a Christmas episode?
Yeah. But it still sucked when Power Rangers did it, because they didn't even morph, you know what I mean? Like, in a thing like that, you expect the formula.
Well, and you said the VHS one was even worse, right?
It's one of the worst things I've ever sat through. Mm-hmm. There's a commentary on that on the channel. You guys can go watch that if you want to waste your time with it.
If people want to go look that up?
I don't remember.
Because Dreaming of White Ranger is the actual episode, but the TV or the VHS
one that's
special.
Not that. Yeah. I forget. Oh, it's Alpha's Magical Christmas.
Alpha's Magical Christmas. Go look that up, guys.
It's magical. They just parade a bunch of producers' kids into the command center and then make them do arts and crafts.
And subscribe and hit the bell and contribute to Patreon. Whatever the bell does.
Oh, the bell makes it so that you actually get notifications. If you don't hit the bell,
I thought that's what subscribing did.
Yeah, I don't know what the point of subscribing is at this point. It's like, why don't we just have the bell? I don't understand. But yeah, if memory serves, and again, it's been a while since I've seen 5, the idea of him with Lana does kind of come out of nowhere. And like, well, sort of nowhere. You can kind of read into his looks at her that he's always maybe... At least from season, 3 on, kind of had a thing for her. Like, once it's easier to not look at her like a kid as much. Because, obviously, this is a little messed up, because, she's still in high school in 4. She's not now, so, we can do it now.
But what is the age difference? How old is... Because Lex is... How old is Lex when the show starts?
We are always really... It's weird, okay? We like to try to make it ambiguous, but it can't be, because we know how old he was in 89. So, in 89, he's 10. So, in 2001, he can only be 21, 22. So, there can't be more than 4 or 5 years in between them. But they always play it like there's, 10 at least. And then, when you go... I brought this up in Crypto Freak several times, but when you go back to... What is the name of that episode? Is it... No, it's not called Zero, but it's the episode with Club Zero.
Isn't that the one with his brother?
No.
Okay.
No, but you go back to the episode with Club Zero, which takes place several years before that, and he's ordering apple martinis, but he can't possibly be old enough to drink. But then he owns the club, so then I don't know if I can argue with it.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, eventually, I'm gonna have an actual Accounting Crypto Freaks episode on this.
So if she's...
But it probably won't actually be at Christmas.
So if she's 18, he's 22, 23. Yes. So that's... it's a little weird, but not super weird. Like that Scott Pilgrim age. Like that's the thing where your friends are like, "Are you sure about this?" But it's not.
Only
it's
been
not
weird
creepy.
if he was ogling her as a freshman when the show starts. He couldn't do that
because this is a jump to the future. Like, I mean, he looks the same, but like if she's 20 and he's 25, like that's not weird. Or if she's 25 and he's 30, that's not weird.
Yeah. Yeah, he named his kid Alex.
Is that a reference to something?
No, he just. I guess he went with that instead of calling him.
Well, this
Alexander
show
Jr.
loves to like stop and like wink.
Yeah.
Oh, his kid is sorry. I was thinking Clark's kid. I was like, is that
no, that's Lex's kid.
Okay. So he's Lex 2.
Yeah, Lex 2. Okay, I guess in a way that is a reference.
Yes.
But yeah.
So sorry.
That's a good point.
I thought it was Clark's kid. And I was like, this show usually just can't stop making Superman references. I would expect to be like Connor or...
And they have to be really careful with that if they want to do any drama later with whether or not Clark can have a kid. Although, you could say, well, this is just all in Lex's head, so that doesn't matter. And Lex doesn't even know he has superpowers. Mm-hmm. So I guess that doesn't make a difference. So with things like this, there's a part of me that always kind of wishes the entire episode could take place in that character's head and we didn't go back and forth. But then if we did that, it would all be Lex and you wouldn't have the Clark subplot at all.
But you would
And the Clark subplot makes it a little bit more of a traditional Christmas episode, but still has enough of an edge to it, too.
But, I mean, Clark would still be in it because he's in Lex's vision of the future.
Yeah, that's true. It's not like you'd lose the actor. I'm just saying that you would lose that subplot, and it is kind of a fun subplot, so... So basically, Clark, not only does he talk off a Santa off a ledge, but he has to be Santa Claus. Mm-hmm. So he's going to use his super speed to get all the toys to kids for Christmas, and that's what makes it a little bit more of a traditional, Christmas show.
It seems like the planet did a really poor job of planning this. She's like, I collect all these toys for Tots. They need them right now, and you're the only person on the planet that can.
Just remember what show you're watching, Eric.
Yeah,
we do that kind of contrived thing a lot.
It's very strange looking at her now. I was very into her when I was younger, and now.
Yeah, it's very difficult to talk about the show without bringing that up. I did it one time on Crypto Freaks when I came back after a long time. It was like, okay, the elephant in the room.
You know what would be really weird?
She's in prison now. I think she's in prison now.
I'm not sure. I think she was under house arrest for a while.
She was, and I know she was... I don't know if the trial is over.
It would be much
I haven't
weirder,
looked back into that in a while.
It would be much weirder if in like one of the many times Clark's chest gets branded, if she was the one branding it.
Wow, he went there. If you don't know what we're talking about, just look.
Just Google her.
Just Google her and see.
It's probably on her Wikipedia
what
page.
happened with the cult and everything. She was in a cult. It was a big thing. It was bad.
And from what we understand, she is doing that while she is on this show. Like she's probably in that cult right now in this episode.
She's in the beginnings of it, but it doesn't become what it was, and she doesn't do all the crazy illegal stuff until after the show.
Well, and that's how cults work usually. They don't start with the illegal stuff.
Yeah. But anyway, Merry Christmas, everybody.
Did he just eat the cookies?
I think he did.
Okay, because he's Santa Claus?
But that's fine, because he's being Santa Claus.
Does Toys for Tots usually... Wow, they really screwed up. So, they didn't...
That's the line reading you went with? Okay.
They weren't like... That's a kid. That was like the 7th line reading. They weren't late, delivering them to, the Toys for Tots people. They're not in their homes. It is Christmas Eve, and the presents need to be under the tree, and they have not yet done it. And, this isn't, Chloe doing a thing. This is the planet running Toys for Tots.
Yeah, and I guess, it's not, the organization Toys for Tots, so these different things could be run differently, but I wouldn't think you would take them to their houses.
She specifically says Toys for Tots. So I think it might be the organization Toys for Tots. Unless that's Band-Aid and we just...
She said something that had Toys and Tots in it, but I don't think it was actually Toys for Tots.
Oh, maybe it was Toys and Tots.
Yeah, it was... I don't remember. It was Toys and Tater Tots. That's what it was. It's the Sonic toy drive. It's Toys and Tater Tots. It's Toys and Cheese Fries, Eric. Toys and Coney Dogs.
Now, he's not the real Santa, right? We don't do that, do we?
I can't remember.
Does he ride off at the end of this episode?
End of this, they try to make it kind of ambiguous as whether this is actually... I don't think they do that, though. I think he's just a Santa Claus and he's drunk, and yeah. But I like that we do this instead of the whole episode is just him running around being Santa Claus.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that was kind of a fun way to get us here.
When you also...
And it lets him do a Superman thing. Like, it's the equivalent of running around saving people. Like, he gets to do a Superman thing. That's kind of nice.
I also wouldn't put it past Smallville to just make that a subplot where, like, he's just running around delivering presents.
That's why I was impressed with this.
I guess the obvious subplot would be, like, and he goes to a house and there's a kid and, like, the kid needs help. Well, that kid just woke up and walked out and was like, hey, are you Santa Claus? And he's like, no. He's like, because that's Santa Claus. How'd that kid know Santa Claus was just standing... How long has Santa Claus been standing drunk over there? And did that kid's parents tell him that that's the real Santa Claus over there in that room?
Well, like, he just looked out the window and saw him.
Okay.
You were talking and didn't see it. But...
Well, but it seemed like that kid already knew that Santa was there. Because he's like, you're not the real Santa Claus. That is.
Well, maybe he just looked past him and just saw him right then. I don't know.
Because he's dressed properly. And is old.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I like how cynical this guy is, and that this is still, an episode of this show. And, like, a better episode of the show. Because, I mean, sometimes we do get insanely sappy with the show, obviously. But it wants to have an edge to it. It wants to have, some grit sometimes, and that weird horror angle it's always had.
It'd be nice if he was a crypto freak.
I know, that would be great. Wouldn't it be great if Santa Claus was a crypto freak? Like, we thought Santa didn't exist, and he didn't until 2001, and now he does.
And he's not the real Santa Claus, he's just a guy that got powers and decided to be Santa Claus.
Right, yeah, but he's the closest thing we have, and everybody would just accept him as actually Santa Claus if they knew he was there, but nobody would ever find out about it, because nobody notices supernatural things that happen in the show. That would be really great, actually. I wish he was a crypto freak. What would his powers be? Like... command of reindeer? And
yeah, like speak with animals?
Yeah. Rorschach's friend to the animals.
So Lionel got really close. He's like, you're going to walk again, son. And coming from Lionel, that seems less reassuring and more like, you will not let me down again. You will walk. You will not be weak.
Yeah, and this is after he sent him to prison and everything. This is after all of that. I think one of the things that makes Lex and Lana so hard to watch in Season 6 is that they're kind of okay here.
Mm-hmm. I mean, she's as okay as she could be.
Exactly, yeah. If you take...
being a terrible actress.
You take this completely out of any kind of context and just say they're married now and Lex went... on the light path and doesn't care about money anymore, and...
Okay, can I complain about that line from, like, the perspective of a not rich person?
Yeah.
So Lionel didn't allow them to celebrate Christmas, and that was a very bleak, lonely time for Lex.
Yeah.
Lex is rich and gets whatever he wants. Is that so sad? Like, I get, like... Because... even if Lionel did Christmas, it wouldn't be Christmas, right? Like,
yeah.
Like he's a monster. It wouldn't be like the Christmas season. You wouldn't be getting like the warm, fuzzy family togetherness with Lionel.
But is he getting what he wants, or is he getting what he's told he's supposed to want?
I mean, he's got like fast cars and stuff, and like he owns a club at 16.
Yeah, but he's talking about when he was a little kid.
I assume he's still got things, but I don't know.
Well, yeah, but in this future, he doesn't have money. His dad has disowned him.
Oh, so this is not the future of normal Lex. This is like an alternate reality entirely?
No. This is supposed to be like if he went down the right path and gave up his father's money and if he did the right things, he wouldn't have money anymore because his dad would disown him and he wouldn't be part of that company anymore.
Okay. So it makes more sense in this version.
He's not been able to build up what he had before, and he just has like a regular person, like blue collar job. Now here's the thing. I like seeing him in this situation. I do not buy that this is what happens with him, even if he does all the right things.
He would never meet Clark.
Well, no, this is all after. I mean, some of that stuff has happened. You see what I'm
Okay.
saying? Like, it's not a completely alternate reality.
Okay.
It's supposed to be.
He like learned a lesson at some point and took
After
the right turn.
No, so obviously we're talking over this episode. I think it's after the gunshot. I think everything that happens up to the gunshot happens.
Oh.
And then he that was the turn. That
This
was the
is a
turning point.
post-season 5 Lex. He learned his lesson.
Yes, he learned his lesson and
Okay.
stuff. And he's given up wealth and ambition and everything. And trying to figure out the secret of Clark and all of that stuff in order to be with Lana and have a happy life and have love and all of that.
I see.
It's
And
supposed to be
Clark
the
and
idea.
Chloe are married in this reality.
Yes.
Is that what I'm? Okay. So it's not weird that he became good and then stole the dream girl of his best friend.
Yeah, there's nothing weird about that at all. Well, you know what I like about that, though? And I'm reading too much into this and probably giving it too much credit, but the way I read that is Lex seeing their relationship the way I always did, which is he made so much more sense with Chloe. That's who he always should have been with. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And him and Lana just never really made sense.
Nope.
And Lex and Lana weirdly actually do make more sense than Clark and Lana do.
If it was a better written show, what they would have...
And remember, Lana and Lex like ran a business together and everything.
Mm-hmm. If it was a better written show, what they would have done from the word go is... It's a show that knows that Clark shouldn't be with her and that they don't work together, but Clark is a stupid teenager and doesn't get that?
Yes,
And
exactly.
that's never what they did.
No, it's not. Just for the sake of forced drama and stuff. Guys, some bullet time. There's our bullet time.
Which still looks good.
Yeah, it's all right.
But I remember the first time I saw it, I was like, that's on TV, that looks great.
Yeah. And I think they get better at it, too.
I think it might have been the Impulse episode was the first episode I saw. Well, that's not true. That's not the first episode I saw, because I saw those 2 episodes from season 1.
What 2 episodes from season 1?
The 2 episodes I see from season 1, and the reason I don't watch this show is the Sexy Lana pool diving episode.
Yep.
And... Oh, no, it's not season 1. The other one that I see is the
Which is awful.
flashback
That's a
episode.
Nicodemus.
The flashback episode with Clark's dad and Lana's grandmother. Those are my first 2 experiences with this show and why I choose not to
That's
watch
season
this
5,
show.
and that is one of the last... Or season
season
5.
5?
Sorry, that's season 3.
Yes.
And that's one of the last episodes I've recorded of Counting Crypto Freaks.
Interesting.
Before I get back
That's
to
an
it.
awful episode.
A lot of people like it. I have huge issues with it. I don't
Yeah, I
like
do
it
too.
either.
It's
I think
creepy.
it's creepy, and it's also just a huge shark jump. But yes, I've talked a lot about that. But yeah, so here's the thing. I feel like Lex has too much ingenuity and too much resourcefulness to be at a blue collar place like this. Like, I get I like it thematically. The idea is supposed to be that what he really wants deep down is not all the things he thinks he wants because his father put that in his head, right? But he still would have...
He would be running his own business.
There would still be, people he knows that could help him get into places and stuff. Like, unless his idea was... I'm not going to call in any favors whatsoever. I'm gonna do everything completely on my own. But I don't know if Lex going down the right path and being a good person means, like, not taking advantage of, like, actual real friendships and things, right?
Yeah, no, I agree.
I mean, unless the idea is that by season 5 he really does not have any real friends at all anymore because he's that far gone.
But he's still friends with Clark and Chloe, and Jonathan's talking nice to him. Like, he still does have those friends and connections.
Yeah, but they're not money connections.
He's governor, senator, or something he just said, right?
Well, that's true. I forgot.
Also, those glasses not working for him.
No. Here's to the finest crew in Starfleet! But yeah, I just... And not just the fact that, he would still have some connections in places. I just feel like Lex is just too smart to not be in a better place than this.
Mm-hmm. I appreciate
Although
about
I think
this...
part of the idea maybe also Lionel trying really hard to make sure that he can't get good work and stuff. So I think he's at an impasse there. But anyway.
What I appreciate about that last scene, I don't want to say it's subtle, but it might be subtle for Smallville.
Yeah.
We did not have, like, Jonathan say, like, Lex Luthor, the finest man I know, and then, like, smash cut to reminding you that he hates the Luthors and thinks that there's, like, you get it if you watch the show, but, like, just watching the episode, we don't have to force that on you.
That's a good point. Especially because we've done so much yo-yoing with that all the way through the show.
I mean, you could pick a plot element. You could say that there's been so much yo-yoing of it throughout this entire show.
That's absolutely right, yeah. But I mean, we go back and... Not as much as we go back and forth with Clark and Lana, obviously, but we go back and forth with Jonathan and Lex quite a bit, too. Where there are places where Lionel comes really close to basically bringing him into the family. There's that episode where Lionel does disown him for an episode, and he has to live with the Kents for a while. Have you ever seen that?
Maybe?
And he does farm chores and stuff. It's a really good episode.
What season is that?
And at the end, it's 2.
Oh, then I've definitely seen it.
And at the end, Jonathan says to him, "You're welcome back here anytime." And that's like the closest they get to Lex as part of the family.
I don't want to say that Tom Welling is a bad actor, but he is playing this scene exactly how Mark from The Room would play this scene.
Oh, hi, Clark. See, it's funny because it rhymes.
Yeah. I did not hear her.
Jokes are always funny when you explain. So he has his perfect life, but then something actually goes wrong, which I also sort of appreciate, because I don't think Lex could perceive a perfect life.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's too much of a realist. So I think the episode might be laying on a little too thick, like nothing bad is going on in Lex's life at all, except he doesn't have money anymore. But I like that something kind of goes wrong.
But it could also be because this is not a vision, right? This is a subconscious thing.
This is a subconscious thing.
Okay, so
this is not an alternate history that would have happened. It's nothing like that.
So in that way, maybe it's.
But I think the episode is saying that he could have a life kind of like this if he wanted it. I think it is saying that.
But maybe it's that Lex, because of how he views the world, if I'm bad and rich, the opposite of that would mean I have to be poor to be good. So in his subconscious, he wouldn't have a better job because that would make him not good.
Oh, that's a good point. Maybe so.
Like, internalogically, I see what you're saying, but, like, on a psychological level, like, maybe... I don't want to say it's intentional because I don't want to give the writers that much credit, but, like, maybe it's kind of subconsciously intentional.
But he's afraid if he has too much, he's going to
He can't help but be who he is.
Yeah.
That's a terrifying shot. He looks like the Invisible Man.
I wanted to.
His lips were like
comment on
part of his teeth.
I have to comment on 2 things really fast before we get past them. Okay, one of them is Lex should never wear a restaurant manager shirt. That's the first thing, and the second thing is
but he's down. He's grounded. He's down to earth. This is down to earth Lex.
Okay, he doesn't have to wear all black like he often does. He doesn't have to do that. But I don't know about vertical stripes.
I appreciate him not being in all white.
It's stupid that Lionel is working out of this office. And we're only doing that because we have this set. Now here's what's dumb. We also have a Lionel Luthor's office set in Metropolis. Why aren't we using them? Maybe he just didn't want to go all the way to Metropolis, but like, why is Lionel in Smallville running his company in Smallville? That's dumb.
Yeah.
But the thing I was going to mention earlier when you said I don't want to say Tom Welling is a bad actor is I think Tom Welling is only a good actor in scenes with the right actors.
Well, yeah, because he's good with John Glover. John Glover often elevates him.
He's good with Rosenbaum, yeah. But you didn't like him in that one scene with Rosenbaum. But I'm just saying that most of the time.
But Rosenbaum's doing a different thing in that scene.
They elevate him, yeah.
And I don't know if he knows how to play off Rosenbaum doing that.
I think it's also important to say, because, and again, you might think I'm giving Welling too much credit, but Welling is not playing Clark. Welling is playing a version of Clark in Lex's head in this kind of perfect future.
I also don't think Tom Welling is an awful actor.
I think he's a one-note actor.
Yeah. But I also think he's somebody that... I think he has the potential to... He is someone that could get like a Tarantino or somebody that like puts him in a movie and he wows you.
He just never had that happen.
But later in life, like he could do that now, I think.
Okay.
I think he could come back and do something where you're like, oh man.
Don't you think if Smallville had been of the caliber Buffy was, though, if he had a Whedon behind him, you might have seen some of those things even younger in his life.
Yeah.
Because we got some of those things from Geller, and we've never seen that from Geller again.
Yeah, well, and we've talked about that with Whedon.
At least anything I've seen.
With Whedon shows in particular, is that he elevates... most of those actors you never see give performances like... Xander has never been that good again.
I would argue he wasn't an actor until Whedon got a hold of him, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like...
But could you imagine this Lex under Whedon?
Say it again.
I said, could you imagine this Lex under Whedon? Like, if this was a Whedon show?
Oh, my God. Yeah, like, he does all this stuff despite these writers and directors.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's not fair, because I've always said the only thing these guys could write when they wrote well was the Luthor stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how that works.
Do you think that indicates that they would have been better at the Bruce Wayne stuff?
Yes. I've always thought that.
It's a very shiny room.
Well, it's just because of this filter we're doing on
He looks like he's about to become a Force ghost.
On the Flash Forward stuff, or on the, Perfect Future stuff. But I really like what it looks like in that room. Mm. The way they lit that is great. I'm not talking about the actual filter. I'm saying, like, the way they lit it to then put the filter on, really cool lighting.
And it's very dreamlike.
Yes. I think that's the scene that works best with this filter. And I mentioned Insurgents. They lit it different than Insurgents. It doesn't look like that in that. It's a little different. But that also tried to have a little bit of like a noir tinge to it, too. Are you with me, though? Just this far in, this episode is way better than it has any right to be. Like, yeah. I think this is one of their better shows. It's got to be in the top 20, if not the top 10.
Especially this late into the show.
Yes. Now, we turned things around some in 6. I mean, 6 is
I like the first half of 6.
That I will go back to.
But a lot of that comes down to Justin Hartley's a great Green Arrow. We do really cool stuff with Green Arrow.
Yeah, and their setup for Justice League stuff is decent. I like their Flash, too.
Their payoff for Justice League stuff is not great.
It's not good, yeah. Isn't it weird that they did that great Justice Society 2-parter, but they did not know what to do with the Justice League?
Yeah, but that was like 4 seasons later, wasn't it?
The Justice
that's like
Society thing is like
7 or 8, not
is
maybe
it
9?
Or is it
It's
8?
much late. Like those are different showrunners.
And Jeff Johns wrote it.
Jeff Johns wrote it. And Tom Welling directed the second episode, which is why that second episode does not look as good as that first episode.
You know, as much of a love-hate relationship as I have with the show, and, I get crap from people all the time for giving so much crap to this show, every time I spend some time away from it and come back, I'm talking about the seasons, of course, with Rosenbaum in them, I always really get an anchoring to go back and binge some of it again. Like,
you wouldn't have that if you watched Lexmas every year.
As hard of a time as I have with this show, it's the best Lex, but it's also one of the best characters on television.
Do we know if he's a geek, Rosenbaum?
I think he kind of is.
Because it seems like a mighty coincidence that he is both Lex Luthor and voice acting for The Flash.
Yeah.
Like, that seems like it couldn't have just randomly happened, right?
Well, I think he also kind of has a voice career.
But it's DCAU stuff. Like he voices some stuff in Batman Animated Series, and I don't think he does much outside of that. I could be wrong.
Yeah, I'm just not sure. So much of his credits are like kind of underground stuff.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I don't want to tell people what they should do.
Do you know how this episode ends?
No, not off the top of my head.
Cool.
I don't want to tell somebody how they should live their life, but I don't think he's kind of wasting himself, right? Like, he is too good an actor to be one of those people that goes behind the camera.
But he doesn't like acting as much as he likes being behind the camera.
I get that, but
he got tired of acting. I don't know if he would have had that if it wasn't for 7 seasons on a mediocre TV show. Mm-hmm. And you can't tell me that he doesn't know that it was a mediocre show. He's always danced around it. I think he's careful not to say that because he doesn't want to hurt anybody's feelings.
Well, and he's probably the most self-aware person on this cast, right?
Yes, he is.
Well, I always got the impression that Tom Welling did not like the show and didn't think it was very good.
But wanted it to go as long as it could so that he could keep getting work. There's an interview that he gives during season 10 where somebody's like, so this is last season, right? And he's like, well, if it does well, we're hoping maybe more. And no one else was saying that. He was the only one.
Well, if he had to do more, he would have to wear that costume. They put him in the costume at the end of that season.
Yeah, I was going to mention this in
they just CGI the costume over him always.
I thought it was really funny that a show where all the way through we'd always been beat over the head with no flights, no tights, and they put the flying as like the big shot at the end of the intro.
But haven't they always done that? I feel like the tornado flight was in the intro for 2.
It's in there too, but I mean, like they use it like Christopher Reeve flying away from the camera, like you get it. In
or like the Lois and Clark
end of the
that shot
credits
from the pilot where he's holding the 2 people and flying away.
Yes, yeah, that's exactly what it is. And like I get it, if you got your Superman flying, it's like a money shot. But yeah,
stop doing this in grown-up shows.
I was gonna say I thought they had an ambiguous thing, but that means that Santa got cynical and drunk, and that's hilarious.
I mean, that's basically the premise of A Year Without Santa Claus. Well, he's sick, but we can read between the lines.
I'm remembering this way better than I thought I was because I was like, I'm not sure that I think they're ambiguous about it. No, they totally are. I also like that he wakes up as early in this as he does. As thick as I think they lay a little bit of that on, it could have been way thicker.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm saying that because they're doing... Well, for a couple reasons. Because they're doing other subplots, and so they're wanting to jump out of his head. Like, if the whole episode was supposed to be just about him, you wouldn't want, like, filler scenes.
Mm.
But I don't think... I mean, you could argue the Clark stuff is kind of filler scenes, but again, I like that he gets to be Superman in this, so that's kind of nice.
Well, and the easy thing to do would be to end this episode with him waking up.
Yeah.
And, like, a close-up on his face, and he's like, what am I going to do with my life?
What am I going to do now? Yeah, and that's what I was going to say is, we see how it impacts him immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he basically, that dream sequence is a massive opportunity for change. And at the end of the episode, he's not going to take it. And he's going to, in fact, do the opposite. And that's what I love about this episode. It's kind of fun, and the dream sequence stuff is not your standard, entirely your standard Christmas episode thing because she dies and, he has that confrontation with Lionel and everything. But what really makes it great is the ending.
He just goes a complete, like Anakin Skywalker. Like, I'm going to make sure nobody ever dies. That is what I've taken away from this experience.
Oh no.
Obviously, the show they should have made was just Luther, and it would just be the 2 of them as the leads.
Oh, man. And that's a great name for a show, and...
Well, you couldn't do it now because there is a show called Luther starring
yeah.
Idris Elba.
Well, no, you still could. It's called Luthor. It's not Luther, it's
okay,
Luthor.
You're right.
You just have to put the emphasis on a different syllable.
You also couldn't call it Lex because there's a sci-fi show called Lex, although I think that has 2 X's.
It has 2 X's, so you still could do it. But yeah, next week on Luthor.
And there's I think there's like a CSI knockoff called LAX, which is about the LAX airport, I think.
Yes, but that's a completely different thing and isn't even pronounced the same way, even if you said it phonetically. That'd be Lax, which sounds like a lazy show.
Have you ever had a dream that inspired you where like you woke up and you're like, I need to change?
Game Boys? It's like 2006,
They're
right?
Game Boy Advances, though.
Is it Game Boy Advance? Okay.
Yeah,
that's true.
You'd still be saying Game Boy.
That's true.
I still say Game Boy now, and Jason corrects me. I'm like, oh, are you playing Game Boy? He's like, no, it's a 3DS. So I was like, it's a Game Boy.
Once we got to the SP, I feel like everybody was saying SP, and that was the point where you stopped hearing Game Boy, and then after that it was DS, and all bets are off.
But man, did I feel like an old man when I did that, where I was like, oh, you playing Game Boy? He's like, it's a 3DS. I was like, oh, I'm old.
Well, and that's not Jason doing the Men in Black thing. What is a Game Boy? That's just Jason also plays Game Boy.
Yeah,
and that's not what he was playing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some really nice fake snow they've got.
It's like you're playing Xbox 360 and your parents are like...
Can you believe we're already at the end? This is the final scene.
I don't know if I trust anybody named...
Or it's the final scene for Lex anyway. I don't know if it's actually the last scene. It is for you. See, he does bring up Scrooge. But see, we gotta find a way to twist that with Lex. So he's gonna try to force himself to get what he wants, even though deep down he knows that's not gonna work. he takes the opposite lesson that you'd think he would take from that. See, even his dreams have to be twisted.
Is this different from how he already normally lives his life? Doesn't he already believe all of this? Like, wouldn't the existential question be like, and I have money and power, and I don't live happily ever after? Oh, that's why he's senator or governor or whatever. It's because he was running. I forgot about that.
But like that's... It's senator. And remember, Martha will actually take his place when he dies and be the senator for the rest of the show.
Which I don't think is how that works, but...
Yeah, actually it is.
Is it? Mm-hmm. Your spouse?
Yeah. If you die while you're running, your spouse can take your place.
Interesting.
And that's what they did, yeah. Nope, and that has happened.
That feels like a frontier law.
I like that a lot, too. But yeah,
it would be better if it was over top of him, so it looked like he had hair.
but you're right. You're ruining the moment. But no, you're right. It is him just doing what he's already been doing. But that's kind of the point. Mm-hmm. Is that like he had an opportunity for change and he's doubling down. Like he took the wrong lesson.
He doesn't see this as an alternate path. He's like, and this is the path I'm on.
He's like, this is the reason I have to be doing it the way I'm doing it. Because he's like, if I had power, she wouldn't have died. And what he's not getting.
Yes, because he went to his father, and his father wouldn't help him. It is the Anakin Skywalker thing.
It kind of is.
I will stop her from dying.
But it's a lot better than that. What he's basically saying is, if I didn't do that, I couldn't have this great life with her. But what he's not getting is he had a great life with her up until that happened, and bad things happen, and you can't always help it. Mm-hmm. And isn't it worth the time you have with a person instead of like the horrible like price you have to pay in order just to keep her alive? For this show, it's really good.
Yeah. I'm sure Mark Snow did most of the music, but I want to believe they brought him in just for this episode.
No, Mark Snow is there from the beginning. And the reason is because... Oh, are you just saying because it's Christmas? Snow. You know who that is, right?
It sounds very familiar.
X-Files.
Okay, that's why I know it.
So, a good number of the staff on the show was holdover from X-Files, which was shot in Vancouver, and I've always suspected.
Oh, it's the same forests.
Yes, and I've always suspected that part of the reason that it's got a weird horror bent a lot is because it came off the heels of X-Files. Mm-hmm.
And X-Files and Buffy are very popular right at that point.
Yeah, exactly. Well, everybody, thanks a lot for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. And, Eric, thanks for doing this with me.
Yeah.
I just thought... We brought this up on the Captain Logan show a couple weeks ago, and I thought it would be fun to watch it again. And, of course, I'm rusty on these seasons, but I will not be as rusty when I get there actually on Counting Crypt Freaks. And I also wanted to use this to plug that. I will be bringing that back again next year. I've got big plans for Crypt Freaks, so everybody that has been messaging me, missing that show, don't worry, it is coming back. I've got plans. I'm excited about it, and I hope you guys are too.
It's also okay to be rusty on these seasons.
Well, it just sucks because, like, we're only halfway into the show, and I mean, except for some stuff in 6, it kind of only goes downhill from there.
But if you're talking about quality, like, the back half is season 4 onwards.
Yeah, isn't that sad? That's what I'm saying, is that's so sad. That, like, if you don't know anything about the show and you just look at it, you're like, 10 seasons, and you guys are already saying, like, these seasons, that's where you're rusty. Yeah, seasons 1 through 3 are kind of where it's at, and it jumps the shark in 4. Well, I mean, it jumps some shark in 2 and 3,
which is not, like, completely unheard of. Like, you could say a similar thing about Buffy. Like, I like season 4 more than most people. 5 is awful.
Yes, but Buffy doesn't have 6 is good, and 7 is all right.
But no, but like they never regain the
of like it goes on way too long and it stops being as good really early.
Ended with season 2.
Yeah,
I know a lot of people like season 4, and I only saw part of that. But like Dexter should have ended.
I like things. 2. Is 4 the one with Lithgow?
Yes.
Yeah, like, Lithgow was really polarizing. You either loved him or you didn't.
And I've seen him in other serious roles, but for some reason I could not take him seriously in that. Like, there's a scene very early on where he's crying in the shower. And I'm like, he's the guy from Third Rock from the Sun.
Oh, no, I thought that was horrifying.
But I've seen him in serious things, and I've not had that reaction.
You didn't have that.
Yeah, it's just something about
you didn't have that in Planet of the Apes.
Nope. But, yeah, I don't know.
But anyway, well, thanks again for watching or listening, and we'll see you again next time. I'm Captain Logan.
I'm Eric.
Later, everybody.